All right, so today I'm going to do my NFL mock draft. I'm actually going to do two mock drafts. I'm going to use two different sites to do them. So this mock draft here is going to be the one I do without trades, and then the second one I do I'll include trades. I might not able to skip ad. There we go. All right, so we're going to get this started. All right, so with the first pick, we're going to go quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. And we're going to draft Fernando Mendoza. So now the Jets are up at pick 2. We're going to slide over to defensive line, or not defensive line. We're going to go to edge. And we're going to draft Ruben Bain. Arizona Cardinals, we're going to stay at edge. And we're going to draft David Bailey. Tennessee Titans, we are going to go to the linebacker spot. And we're going to draft Arvell Reese. All right, the New York Giants, I believe this is going to be a wide receiver. And I think it's going to be Cardinal Tate. Now we have the Cleveland Browns on the board. And this just happens to be my favorite team. So I am going to draft Jordan Tyson for the Cleveland Browns right here. Now we have the Washington Commanders. I believe this is going to be the first spot we see an offensive lineman go off the board. And I think it's going to be Francis. I don't want to mispronounce your last name here, so we're just going to call you Francis. All right, the New Orleans Saints. I think this is going to go back to the edge spot, and I don't think it's going to be Keldrick Fall. All right, maybe it's not going to be an edge. Thought there was another edge there that I was looking at. Since it's not going to be an edge, we are drafting for who? The Saints. Would be easy to go and get Jeremiah Love, but I think let's just double dip it wide receiver here. I know they got Chris Olave. I don't expect Olave to be traded, but we're going to give them Makai Lemon. All right, who's on the board now? It's the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is where we're going to have a running back come off the board. Here's Jeremiah Love. Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Bengals are super happy with the draft so far because they're about to draft Caleb Downs right now, pick number 10. All right, Miami Dolphins. I think the Dolphins need help on the offensive line. So I am going to give them Spencer Fano. Dallas Cowboys, I think this is probably the easiest pick to predict in the draft. We're going to go Sonny Styles right here. Los Angeles Rams. All right. So with the Rams, I think they're going to go secondary. So I think they're going to draft Mansour Delane right here. Baltimore Ravens. This is where I think I'm going to throw my first curveball at people. One thing I know about the Ravens is they like to draft a year in advance of what their team needs are. So they are going to go ahead and draft Kenyon Sadiq to replace Mark Andrews next year. All right, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Every time I think about this draft, I think this has to be Vega right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and draft Vega right here for him. All right, the New York Jets. Question is, will they draft a quarterback or not? I don't think they are going to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to draft an edge, and I think they're going to draft Keldrick Falk. All right, the Detroit Lions. I think this one's going to go offensive line here. And I think it's going to be Caleb Lomu right here. All right, we're up to Minnesota Vikings. I think the Minnesota Vikings might shock everybody in this draft, and they will take Ty Simpson. I think they're done with JJ McCarthy, and I think they're moving on. The Carolina Panthers, they took a receiver last year, so I don't see that happening again this year. I think they might be in the running for a corner. So we're just going to go ahead and give them Jermod McCoy right here. And then we got the Cowboys with their second pick of this draft. They don't need a defensive lineman. They can use it in the edge. Let's look at the edges. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give them Cassius Howe right here. I think this is a good spot for Cassius Howe to go. All right, Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are thrilled to see the defensive lineman on the board right now. I think they're going to draft Peter Woods. All right, the Los Angeles Chargers. I think the Chargers need offensive linemen, so I think they're going to take a shot on Caden Proctor right here. Now we got the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles might be a little bit of a shock right here. I think they're going to draft Denzel Boston because I do think they will be trading AJ Green, and this is his replacement. Now we get the Cleveland Browns, who took Jordan Tyson earlier. At this pick, I think they just needed swing big at offensive line, so they're just going to go ahead and take Monroe Freeling right here. All right, Chicago Bears. I could see them taking a receiver, but I don't think that's where they're going to go. I think they're going to go ahead and hit the corner position, and I think they'll draft Avion Terrell. The Buffalo Bills, this is 100% going to be a receiver, and it's going to be Kevin Concepcion. The San Francisco 49ers. I can see them going offensive line. I could see them going defensive line. I could even see them going wide receiver. And I think I'm going to see what's there at the edge. All right. Yeah, we're going to give them Akeem Missador here. All right, the Houston Texans. I think this has to be an offensive lineman. I'm going to see what's there at offensive tackle. All right. Let me see. Where's the other offensive lineman? Here they are. Okay. This might be a touch early, but I think this guy's going to rise up draft boards. I think they're going to draft Emmanuel Pregnon. All right, we got the Los Angeles Rams with their second first round pick. They took a corner earlier, so I don't think they need defensive linemen or edge rushers right now. I think they could use an offensive lineman. They could also use a linebacker, I think. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and give them CJ Allen. All right, the Denver Broncos. I think they're gonna probably look at edge and probably go ahead and grab TJ Parker right here. The New England Patriots. So I think they're going to move Will Campbell back on the inside. So I think they're going offensive line. And I think they are going to draft Max Ehenhaker. I probably butchered that name, but he's gone to the Patriots. And now we have pick 32, the final pick, the Seattle Seahawks. Well, they're going to go ahead and replace JSN. No, who am I kidding? They're not going to do that. Let's see. They don't need pass rush. They absolutely destroyed the Patriots with their pass rush. Let's go ahead, go corner. I'm not going to go Colton Hood. I'm going to give them Brandon Sis here. All right, and that's the draft. All right, so let me go back and load up the next one. We're going to go to PFSN for this one. I'll select all teams. The reason why I'm going here is because I don't have a subscription to none of these. This is the only one where I could actually do trades at. All right. We're just going to go in solo draft here. Here to close. All right. Where's my draft? All right. There's my draft. Okay. So in this one, we're going to do a few trades. We're not going to do a lot of trades. I have a feeling there's going to be like 2 first round trades in the draft this year. So we're going to start off with the Raiders again, and the Raiders are still going to take Fernando Mendoza. Then we have the Jets, and the Jets are still going to take Ruben Bain. The Cardinals, they're still going to take David Bailey. The Titans, they're going to, let's see, I forgot who I gave them that first draft. But, oh yeah, I know who I gave them. Yeah, they're still going to take Arvell Reese. All right, the Giants. They are still going to draft Cardinal Tate. Now we have the Browns. And this is where we're going to get our first trade. Let's see. Yeah, we can propose a trade here. So the Browns are going to trade with the Dallas Cowboys. All right, the Cowboys are going to give up pick 12 and Green Bay's first round pick next year. The Browns are going to trade pick 6. The Browns are also looking for a pick in the 170 range, so they're going to get pick 177 here. And that's going to be the trade proposal. And as you can see, the value offered is 446. Value offered over here is 503. So let's see if it goes through. It went through. All right, so now we got the Cowboys moving up to 6. So are they moving up to actually take Sonny Styles still? The answer is yes. They're going to take Sonny Styles at pick 6. Now we got the Washington Commanders. Yeah, let's see. Who do we want to put on the Commanders here? I think we're going to change up here and give the Commanders Spencer Fano. All right, so now it's the New Orleans Saints. And this time we're going to do a second trade. This trade is going to be between the Saints and the Chiefs. Let me see, where are the Chiefs? There they are. And then the Saints. Right there. All right, so the Saints are going to trade pick 8 or pick 9. And the Saints are going to pick up an extra third next year. And that's going to be the trade. It's a very even trade here. Let's get rid of this ad. All right, so right here, pick 8, we have the Chiefs, and they traded up so they could get Jeremiah Love. So there's Jeremiah Love. And now the Saints are back on the board. And the Saints are going to pull off another trade. So we got the Saints, and they're going to trade with the Los Angeles Rams. And it's going to be pick 9 for pick 13. And for this, the Rams are also required a 3rd rounder and a 6th rounder. All right, so now we got the Rams on the board. The Rams move all the way up here because they want to get ahead of the Bengals. And they are going to draft Caleb down so the Bengals can't. So now the Bengals at pick 10 are going to go over the corner, and they're going to draft Mansour Delane. So now we have the Browns, or no, not the Browns, Dolphins are on the board at 11. So at 11, the Dolphins are going to draft Jordan Tyson. So now the Browns have lost Jordan Tyson in this draft, so they can't take him this time. But the Browns are now going to draft Francis, the offensive tackle. And then we got the Saints on the board now. And the Saints are going to draft Mekhi Lemon. Baltimore Ravens are going to stick with what I did the first draft. They're going to draft Kenyon Sadiq. the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going to draft Vega again. All right, now we got the New York Jets. The Jets are going to go ahead and draft Ty Simpson on this draft. All right, the Detroit Lions. They're going to draft Caleb Lomu right now. The Minnesota Vikings. All right, I'm trying to figure out what I want the Vikings to draft. All right, they're going to go defense. And they're going to draft Peter Woods. All right, the Carolina Panthers are going to draft Caleb Banks. The Dallas Cowboys are going to, they drafted the linebacker already. They're going to draft a corner. And they are going to draft Jervod McCoy. The Pittsburgh Steelers here are going to draft Caden McDonald. All right. The Chargers are going to draft Caden Proctor. All right. The Eagles, just like in the last draft, they're going to draft Denzel Boston to replace AJ. I think I said AJ Green last time, but it's I can't remember his name, but they're going to trade their receiver, AJ Brown. That's who it is. All right. Now we got the Browns here. They took offensive tackle last time, and this time I think the Browns might pull the shocker of the draft here and take Chris Bell. Now we have the Bears, who I think will take Monroe Freewing. The Buffalo Bills are still going to go wide receiver and get Casey Concepcion. The San Francisco 49ers are going to go defense. And they're going to draft C.J. Allen. Get rid of these ads. All right, and then we got the Houston Texans now. I think they have to go offense. I think they're going to go ahead and draft Max Iannaker. Maybe I got it right that time. I don't know. The LA Rams are going to go back to the defense. They're going to go to corner and they're going to draft Keith Abney II. All right, Denver Broncos. Are just looking things over here. All right, I think the Broncos are going to draft defense here, and they are going to draft Brandon Sis right here. New England Patriots are going to draft Keldrick Falk right here. Really thought he should have went earlier, but They're taking him right here, and the Seattle Seahawks are going to go offense. Finish that, they're going to go defense. There's nothing on offense right now. They don't need edge or defensive line. All right. So we'll just give them a corner here and give them Avion Terrell. And that will conclude the draft.